Hello and welcome. My name is Ben Gutscher. I am a lecturer of English for academic purposes at Duke Kunshan University, and I have been a long-time Excel Esports player from about 2021. Last year I made the quarterfinals. The year before that I made the semifinals in Las Vegas. Now what we have today is a very exciting case for this challenge. This is based off of Excelopolis. For the MECC, we got Feeding Excelopolis, and let me just tell you the original case by Andrew Grigolyunovich. This case is very well known amongst the esports community. It's very well known for being difficult. When this first came around, I don't think I was a player at that time, but I do remember people saying that scores were very famously low. So if you struggled with this case, don't worry, because a lot of people struggled when they first did this. If you did all right in this case, then that's great. You are on a great position right now, and you will be able to improve very well. I'm not going to read the instructions for this case. Let me just quickly summarize. So we have a map here, a 7x7 grid map. For the varsity level, we're only dealing with the green and blue cells, so we're going to ignore the white cells. And basically, we start off with a population of 1, and this one person is going to go to a nearby cell and farm, whichever cell can produce the most amount of food. In this case, there's a cell with 5 units per day. And what after they farm the 5 units per day, they're going to eat a couple. Every person eats 2 units. So at the end of the day, they're going to have 3 stored up. They're going to continue storing until they reach a certain threshold of 10 units per current population. At that point, the population grows to another person, and then we're going to start mining 2 cells. So we got 5, and then we got another cell 4 here. And this pattern just keeps going and going and going until we hit 7 people, at which case the size of our farmable land grows to include all of the green cells. And so that's basically the basis of this case. Again, the white cells are not used for MECC, so we're not going to worry about those. So with that said, let me go ahead and go through and let me show you how I would solve this case if I were playing it. So in level 1, we have what is the sum of the X highest land fertility values for each game. And we have an X here in the example. And you notice that a lot of cells are blank. The reason why the cells are blank is because we're only dealing with the blue region in this map. So what I would do for this level is I would probably go over to the right, and I would start with a sort function. Not sort by, sort. You could use sort by, but we're not sorting by anything. So I got this whole range that I want to sort. Now there's a bunch of parameters to go with sort. Sort index, there's only one row or column, so we don't need to worry about that. Sort order, I want to go largest to small, so I'm going to go descending order. And normally sort works with a single column of values, sorting by rows. But in this case, we have a single row of values, so we're sorting by columns. So I'm going to do true for this final argument here. And what you'll see is I have all the numbers sorted from largest to smallest. Now I am going to take the first X of these values. In this case, X is 4. So let's go ahead and do take 4 columns here. Oops, let me make sure I shouldn't type the number 4. I should reference the cell. Of course, it changes, right? So we have 5, 4, 3, 3. Let me just sum these numbers together, and then we will have the formula that we can use for level 1. There you go. Let's take a look at level 2. Based on the given land fertility and assuming a starting population of 1 and no population growth, how much food has been saved over a given number of turns? So we have a population of 1. We're not going to worry about population growth, but remember, one person is going to mine the best producing cell, but then also eat 2 units of food per day. So what we are going to do is we are going to figure out what is the best food producing amount in this range. Again, we're only dealing with the blue cells, so we don't have to worry about, filtering or choosing any cells, anything like that. We're only looking at the cells that they can actually mine. So we're looking at that, but we're also going to subtract 2 per day for the amount that they're going to eat. So multiply that by the number of turns. I said days, it's really turns, but same difference. And that is how you solve level 2. In level 3, based on the given land fertility and assuming a starting population of 1 and that the population can grow, how many units of food are produced over the first 10 turns? So now for this one, we've got a growing population. We've got 10 turns to go. What I like to do in a level like this is I like to start on a new sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this, including the example data over. Now, if you're familiar with data tables, I'm going to start building a data table here. And the way I'm going to start building a data table is it's going to run off of this cell. So I'm going to XLOOKUP. Oops, X lookup this cell, and the game number is always in column B. So I'm going to put case BB and returning from all the cells that have the data. So we've got column G to column AE. So the case G to AE. Now it's going to have a spill error first. I just need to delete all that extra information. Now with Excel, it's going to come back. You're going to see a lot of zeros, but just ignore those. The zeros aren't important. Again, we're not dealing with the green errors. We're only dealing with the blue. So we got turn, and we are doing 10 turns, right? So I'm going to do a sequence of 10 turns. Let's do population, and we're going to start with a population of 1. And we are going to take, let's see, food produced. Yeah, let's do that. And we're going to take the similar function that we did from stage 1, right? So we are going to sum, take, sort these cells here in negative order by column there. We are going to take whatever the population is, and we're going to sum that number together. So with a population of 1, we get a food production of 5, and a food consumption is a population times 2, right? And then we're going to get food storage is going to be, let's see, we don't have any food storage now, but actually, let's go ahead and do it this way. Whoops. So food storage is going to start at 1 or 0, sorry. And we are going to take 0 plus the food produced for the day minus the food consumed for the day. Now, we have to consider population, right? So I'm going to go down to this cell, and I'm going to say if this is greater than or equal to this times 10, then I am going to add 1. Otherwise, I'm going to add 0 to that cell there. I'm not adding anything, so we don't have to worry about anything right there. But then also, if this cell is greater than this, actually, yeah, let me stick with, yeah, let me just go ahead and stick with this here. And then minus if, yeah, I don't need that parentheses. If this cell is greater, whoa, there we go, greater than that cell, meaning we got an increase in population, then we're going to take out this cell times 10 units. Otherwise, we're going to take out 0. All right, so let's see how this works when I fill this down to 10 turns. So you see here we have 12, which triggers a population change. So we did 2, subtract the 10 from the 12, but we have an increase in 5. So we're down to 7, which is correct. And same thing here. We hit that threshold. We're at 22. Take out the 20. We're down to 2 plus the 6 that we saved from this current turn there. So the question is, how many units of food are produced over the 10 turns? So I'm going to say sum the produced column there. I get 80, which is what we are expecting from the example. There we go. And now I'm going to run my data table. If I can keyboard properly, Alt-DT is a good shortcut for data table based on the game number cell. So now we should have an answer for all of them. Now, I always go back and delete because that will continuously run it. That will take up a lot of resources. I don't like that. Level 4, based on the given land fertility and assuming a starting population of 1, how many turns does it take to get to a population of 7? All right, now, in this one, we do have all the cells filled up, but remember, until we hit 7, we're only worried with those 9. That's going to change my formula a little bit. You're going to see how. So, I'm going to stick with the same model that I had before. In fact, let me go ahead and copy it. I like copying it because oftentimes the rules will change and sometimes the bonus is based off a certain level. And yeah, let me go ahead and just take a snapshot of this. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste as a picture. There we go. And of course it's transparent, which is really hard to see after over all of this. So let me just delete all that. There we go. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. Okay, so we're going to start with example 7. Actually, before I get example 7, because all the cells are filled in, I'm going to put a little X above these ones so I know that these are the ones that we deal with the smaller population, right? Now, example 7. Now, this is going to have to change a little bit because this is now considering all the numbers, which we don't want to consider all the numbers yet. So we're going to say if this is less than 7, then we are going to only consider those with the X. So I'm going to say filter these cells here, whoa, those cells there, where the cells on top that I've just marked are equal to X. Okay, otherwise take them all. I believe that should do exactly what I'm looking to do. So, let's see. Oh, I see. I pasted his values. There we go. All right. And because the instruction says based on the given data, it never takes more than 40 turns, I'm going to take the sequence up to 40. And I'm also going to copy what I have down at turn 10 and paste it down to turn 40. Now, this is a population at the start of the turn. The question is really, what is a population where it gets to 7? So basically the end of the previous turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to X match 7 in all of these populations for each turn. So that'll tell me when we start with 7, but we're looking for when we end with 7. So I'm just going to subtract 1 so I get the turn before. 32 is the answer for this level. And then I can just run based off of the same model and paste it into this sheet. Level 5, how much food is harvested in the first turn that the population size is 7? Now, this level is marked as easy because we don't need to use that same model that we just used before. All we need to do is take the highest 7 values in here and add them together. So once again, I'm going to sort all of these cells in descending order, sorting by column. We need to sum take 7 columns. We get 30. There we go. Now, you probably could have used your model if you have a model similar to what I've got set up. And it probably would have worked, but that's why this level is marked as easy. Level 6, based off the given land fertility and assuming a starting population of 1, how many turns does it take to get to a population of 15? Now, here we have an example answer of 69. Let me go ahead and copy this back over again. This will be level 6. Let me copy these directions again. Paste as. Ooh, I don't think picture's in here. I don't see a picture. Okay, well then I'm just going to use that. There we go. All right. When do we get to 15? Now the example answer was 69, so it's definitely going to be more than 40. I'm going to go ahead and chase it up to 100, right? And I just realized I didn't delete that. Let me delete that. And let's go ahead and bring up example 6 because we are on level 6. And once again, let's go ahead and paste these down to go through to 100 levels. And what I'm going to do is just like what I did before. Instead of X matching 7, I'm going to X match 15. Now for this one, I'm going to change this because I'm going to be changing the side a lot. I'm going to use dot notation for this. So I want to highlight the entire column. So from C all the way down to the edge of the sheet. Now the dot will mean it'll only take the first X number that actually has data in it, right? So here I got 69. The answer to this is 69. Let me go ahead and copy the level numbers over, and that will give me the solve for level 6. All right, and then we get to level 7. Based off the given land fertility and assuming starting population of 1, how many turns does it take to get to the maximum sustainable population? Now, the maximum sustainable population, because every person eats 2 units of food per day, it's going to be the total number of units divided by 2. So let me copy this over one more time for level 7. And let's type example 7 in here. And I am going to add, let's see, max food is going to be sum of all of this. Actually, that should be max population divided by 2. So max pop, there we go. So in level 7, the maximum population we can sustain is 43. Now, do I go to 43? Oh, heck no, I don't. Actually, 786. We're going to need to grow this model quite a lot. So once again, we just add another 0 in there, copy that, let it spread across the entire model. I do see 43, so that's going to work. Now this time, instead of matching 15, I'm going to match that maximum population there. I get turn number 786. Now let's go ahead and run this through. Now see here on my data table, I can see all of the answers here, even up to 942. If by chance you get an NA error, something that looks like that, the first thing you want to look for is, does my model go far enough? Chances are it probably doesn't. You may need just to increase the number of rows in your model. So there we go. And that's how I answer level 7. Let's take a look at the bonuses. Bonus 1. Which game number across levels 4 through 7, excluding the examples, has the highest sustainable population? See level 7 instructions for details on sustainable populations. Now, if you take a look closely, all of these bonuses are dealing with levels 4 to 7, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another sheet here for bonus. And let's take out all the games from levels 4 to 7. So level 4 starts with game 61. Level 7 ends with game 140. That's about 80 games. So let's do a sequence of 80 rows, starting with 61. And I'm going to bring the column headers over. All the column headers are the same. And I'm going to XLOOKUP this in case BB, returning from case G to, where does this end for level AE? Right, okay. Now, that will give me all of the data from all of the cases here, or all the games here. Let me just do this to make it easier to see. Now, remember, the maximum sustainable population was the total amount of food divided by 2. So, I'm going to take the sum of the entire row divided by 2. And the question was, which game number has the highest sustainable population? I love using the sort by column for this, so I'm going to sort by the game numbers by that sustainable population in negative order. Top game number I get is 75, and that is the correct answer. Bonus 2. What is the sum of the game numbers for the games across levels 4 through 7, excluding the example, that share the fastest growth in terms of the population of 7? Follow the instructions in level 4. All right, so we want to see which games do we get to the 7 the fastest. I'm going to continue with this model because that's asking the same question, right? So let me get all these game numbers in, put this in my level 4 model, run this, and let's see. Oh, see, I got some NA errors. Now, I could ignore those because, again, that means there's not enough turns, and I'm looking for the least number of turns, right? But just to be safe, let me just go ahead and expand that. And now you can see I still have NA. Oh, you know why it is? Because I haven't changed this to the dot notation that I had before. There we go. Now all the NA errors are gone, although the little green triangle is still there. I don't know. All right, so what's the minimum of these values? The minimum is 21, so we're going to sum ifs the game number where the result is equal to 21. I have 659 for that bonus. Bonus 3. Variance is measured as the average of square deviations from the mean. Which game across levels 4 to 7, excluding the examples, has the greatest variance in land fertility values? Now, the easy way to do this is Excel does have a function for variance. It is a variance based on population or sample. I don't know if they're going to bring that much of a difference. Actually, there's a variation function from earlier Excel. I'm going to go ahead and do population because I'm going to say that these are all the numbers that we're going to deal with. So I'm going to find the variation in all of these cells, paste that formula down, and then once again I'm going to sort by the game numbers by the variance in negative order because we're looking for the one with the largest variance. 122 is the answer that I get, and that is the one for bonus 3. Bonus 4. Which game number for the games across levels 4 through 7, excluding the example, has a symmetric matrix of fertility values? A matrix is symmetric if the values across the diagonals are the same. The diagonal is from B2 to E5. I'm just going to show you on this example table up here. So for example, C2 should equal B3. D2 should equal B4. You know, when you flip it, it's going to be the same. Now, fortunately, Excel has a great function for that, and let me just show you here. So let me just give you a visual of what this would look like. Let me set this column width to 2, and let's go ahead and wrap rows for this matrix by, I think it's 5 cells per row. So that's what the matrix looks like right there, right? Now I'm going to let this, I'm going to use a let function, let this be the original matrix OM, and then my flipped matrix is I'm going to simply transpose the original matrix. So watch, when you see flip matrix, you see there's a 3 in the bottom left and a 2 in the bottom top right corner. If I flip that, now I have 2 in the bottom left and 3 in the top right. So it's flipped along that diagonal that this case is asking about. So let's see if we have OM equals FM, meaning the original matrix is the same as the flipped matrix. And what that's going to do, if I just widen this out temporarily, is it's going to look at every single cell and say, is it going to be the same when it's original and when it's flipped? Wrap that around an AND function, and it's going to check if all the cells are going to be the same original as it were flipped. Now, only one of these are going to be true. I can see it right there. There is true. That's game number 73. And let me go ahead and paste that in for this bonus. Last one, bonus 5. For each cell in the 5x5 grid across the games in levels 4 to 7, excluding the example, sum the values in the up to 8 adjacent cells that are of the same oddness. If that cell itself is odd, sum the adjacent odd values. I'll sum the adjacent even values. Do not include the cell itself. Then sum those values across all 25 cells. What is the smallest total across all the games? Wow, that's quite a definition that they're looking for, but let me just kind of show you here. Let me just set this. 2 is a bit tight. Let me go with 3. All right, so once again, let me go ahead and wrap rows. Actually, I'm going to do this in a data table format. So this is going to be game 61. Let's do it. X lookup 61 in the game number and return the data for the game. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap that in rows of 5 values each. So there we go. Now, in here, what the game is asking is, if this number is odd, take a look at all the odd numbers around it. If that's even, take a look at all the even numbers around it and sum it up together. So what I'm going to do is let V be 2col V stack of all the numbers around it. Now, the reason why I'm using 2col and V stack is 2col will let me get rid of all the blanks and all the errors, right? So let me just show you what V will look like here. So for this, we have 2, 3, 5. That's the numbers that we are looking at. If I put it in the middle here, we've got all of these numbers. There's 8 numbers around that center cell. There's 8 numbers in there. Right. Now, if, let's say, is even this cell here, we're going to sum the V cells where the V cells are even. Now, SUMIF won't really work here because you can't take like a calculated array and put that in the first parameter of a SUMIFs function. So instead, I'm going to do a little trick to get around that. So I'm going to sum V times mod V, or actually I could just do V times is even V. So if it is not even, if any one of those numbers are not even, it's going to return 0. If it's even, it's going to return the number. Because this will return either true or false, right? Otherwise, I'm going to sum V times is odd V. Okay, so here we have 8. This number is odd. It's going to add the 2 odd numbers around it. That's how we do that. Let me go ahead and spread this across 5 by 5. That looks about right. And then we're going to go ahead and sum those numbers together. Now you see you have a 0 here just to check. That's because number 4 is even, but none of the numbers around it are even, so it's going to return a 0. Let me go ahead and, whoops, I don't need to get the numbers from there. I can get the numbers from here. Run this through a data table, if I can keyboard properly. Run this through a data table based off of the game number up there. And we want the smallest total across all games. So I'm just going to use the min function and get that right out there. So that's how you solve feeding Excelopolis. Great case. I hope you did well on it. I hope you learned a little bit through this video, learned some new functions, some new tricks, and good luck in the next round.